Hello, everybody. Nortes 432 here today.
Hello, Nortes.
Kyle, what are you doing on my channel?
I'm Bane!
Okay.
Anyways, I just wanted to tell you that your fanfic readings are annoying.
What?
You always make stupid jokes and comments during the story and people don't like it. It ruins the whole aspect of reading it. And if you continue to do it, I'm going to break your back.
Okay then. Don't have to break into my channel to tell me that.
I'm Bane! Also, I blew up the football field.
Yes. Yes, you are, and yes, you did. Well, you heard the ginger. Gotta change things a bit. fLuTtEr 2, yay!
MLP FIM is property of Hasbro. This is a free fanfiction not to be sold or traded for any money, goods, or services. Warning: grim, dark. Contains graphic writing. Please do not read if you do not like gory, violent stories concerning MLP. Contains murder, slaughter, gore, and swearing. Like this last one really matters.
fLuTtEr 2. Fluttershy lay on her bed, watching as her quickly growing baby suckled away. It had already been 2 weeks, and somehow she had managed to keep her friends from discovering the existence of Whisperwing. Somehow, she just had a feeling they would not understand. She had given birth to a new life, after having been stung by some creature. She still couldn't remember what had happened, but in her mind it didn't matter. All that mattered was that she'd take care of her son. As he suckled, she felt his still soft claws scratching at her tender tits. "Oh," whispering, "please be more gentle," she cooed softly. The baby looked up and gave a pitiful cry. Fluttershy couldn't see any traces of milk in his mouth. She whimpered as she looked. She could tell she had nothing left to give, even though she was eating nearly 3 times what she normally ate, and had not gained any weight. "Oh my, stay here, Whisperwing." She got up and headed to the stairs, and he cries of hunger nearly made her crawl back into bed. Once in the kitchen, she fretted as she got some milk from the fridge. She poured it into one of the bottles she used to feed other baby animals. Even though this was cow's milk, Fluttershy knew a little something about kittens most cat owners didn't. While cow milk was fine, it lacked certain nutrients kittens needed. She frowned a little as she grabbed her sharpest knife. She hated this part, but knew it had to be done. She nicked herself with the blade and let a little of her own blood drip into the bottle. She then licked her small cut clean and wrapped it with a clean cloth. She placed the bottle under her wing and concentrated. She used a little of the Pegasus magic that allowed him to stay warm at high altitudes and while handling winter weather. With the milk at body temperature, she headed back upstairs and saw Whisperwing curled up on the bed, looking miserable. The moment he saw Fluttershy, he opened his mouth and gave the cutest little cry, which Fluttershy knew to mean, "Feed me." Fluttershy crawled back on the bed and fed her baby. She watched as he nearly emptied the small bottle before curling up to her belly and falling asleep. She would have been content to just stay there, but knew she had her other duties. She slipped downstairs silently and tended to the animals. Fluttershy cleaned up after them from their previous meal as well. She glanced down at Angel, who for the last 2 weeks had refused to go anywhere near Whisperwing. "Oh, Angel, you worry too much." She nuzzled him and gave him his carrots, and even a few leaves of spinach, much to his delight. "Whisperwing is my baby. I'll be sure to teach him right from wrong." She smiled and got back to work. She happened to glance out the window and spotted her friend Twilight approaching her front gate. Fluttershy opened the door to see a hoof raised, ready to knock. "Hello, Twilight," she smiled. "What brings you out this way?" Well, I was at the market, and I kinda needed to buy some eggs for some bread Spike wants to bake, but they were out." She grinned and glanced towards the chicken coop. "Think I could have just 2?" "Oh, of course." Fluttershy smiled and led Twilight into the comfortable-looking coop. All the nests were kept clean and tidy, and it was comfortably lit, shaded from the sun but insulated from cold water. "Hello, girls," Fluttershy smiled. "My friends want to bake some yummy bread, but she needs a couple eggs. Would any of you like to help her?" The closest chicken stood up, revealing a pair of still warm eggs. "Oh, thank you, Elizabeth." Fluttershy nuzzled the chicken affectionately before taking the eggs and placing them into Twilight's basket. "Oh, Twilight, there are some fresh wild daisies growing in the field behind my home. Feel free to take some. There's more there than what I can ever eat." "Really?" Twilight's eyes lit up. "Thank you, Fluttershy. You're the best." She beamed and floated her basket behind her. Fluttershy watched her head off into the field before heading back inside. She looked down at her hoof and decided to bandage it up better, glad that Twilight had not noticed. Day by day went by. Fluttershy had to add a little of her own blood to the milk she fed to Whisperwing. She sighed as she watched the blood and milk mix, smiling, knowing that no matter what, she was still a part of her baby. She suddenly giggled and dropped the bottle, watching it bounce and spill on the counter. "Oh, I am so clumsy." She reached for a cloth to clean it up, but caught a whiff. It smelled like milk, but it smelled good. Fluttershy never drank milk, preferring to even forget that it and eggs were part of bread and most pastries. But she found herself licking it off the counter. It tasted good, even if there was a little bit of her blood in it. But then she found she tended to lick the nicks and cuts she gave herself rather than washing them in the sink. Once the mess was cleaned up, she prepared another bottle of milk. Through the window, she looked at the chicken coop. All she ever did with the eggs was either use them in baking or to make food for the meat-eating critters she would take care of. She glanced towards the stairs and smiled. He was starting to grow in his tiny little teeth. Maybe it was time to start feeding him some eggs alongside the milk and blood mix. Fluttershy headed out into the coop. She greeted her chickens and asked for a few eggs, which they gratefully let her take. Back in the kitchen, she started cooking the eggs on the stove. She then heard some light little thumps. She poked her head out of the kitchen and watched, a little worried at first, as Whisperwing hopped down the stairs one at a time. Her worry faded as she saw he was more than capable of getting down without hurting himself. She just smiled and cooed, getting his attention. "Are you hungry? Is that why you came downstairs?" The winged kitten scampered over to his mother and rubbed affectionately up against her leg. "Your teeth are growing in, so how about you try something new?" Fluttershy returned to the kitchen and prepared more milk, no longer feeling the little nicks she gave herself. She poured it into a bowl and set it on the floor. Whisperwing sniffed the contents, then started lapping it up. Fluttershy smiled and returned to cooking the eggs. She made sure the eggs were soft before she slid all three onto the plate. She looked down at the tiny size of her son. "What was I thinking? He can't eat all this." She paused to think for a moment. "I'm not caring for any meat or egg-eating animals, but I do hate wasting food." She knew there was only one answer left, especially since she had not eaten breakfast yet. One of the eggs was cut into tiny pieces, with the still runny yolk flowing about. She then placed the other two back into the frying pan and let them cook a little longer, so they were not quite so runny. Fluttershy took her breakfast to the table and looked at it. She'd never eaten an egg before, not without them being made into bread or cake or some baked good. She knew that Rarity occasionally enjoyed fried eggs, as did most other ponies. So she took the chance and nibbled. To her surprise, it tasted wonderful. She finished off the eggs quickly, noting that Whisperwing had done so as well, and was currently cleaning his paws. She giggled and cleaned up. After breakfast and dishes, she took her yawning baby back upstairs and put him to bed. She smiled softly and lovingly. ... Whisperwing continued to grow, especially with the introduction of eggs to his diet. Fluttershy found he preferred the eggs raw, so started serving them to him that way. Out of curiosity, she had tried them raw as well. The taste wasn't nearly as bad as she thought, but it was the texture and consistency that made her decide to stick to cooking hers. She also was enjoying milk as well, which most grown ponies didn't drink. Still, Fluttershy didn't worry too much. She just hoped that the merchants at the market would stop giving her odd looks when she would stop by every couple days for a couple bottles of milk. She simply told them she was caring for some baby animals and needed more milk than normal. "I just wish they'd mind their own business," Fluttershy thought to herself after the latest merchant asked her about the milk. "Just hungry baby animals I'm caring for," she partially lied. It was just one baby animal, and herself. That satisfied the merchant, much to Fluttershy's relief. ... A week later, Fluttershy was sitting and reading, as well as watching Whispering stalking Angel, much to his dismay and partial delight when he would easily evade the furball. She heard a pony approaching up the path. Whispering, go hide, please. The cute little creature nodded and scampered under the couch, only his green eyes peeking out. Hiya, Fluttershy, you home? Pinkie-Pie's voice called out. Fluttershy glanced to make sure Whisperwing was hiding before answering. Hello, Pinkie, she greeted her friend. What can I do for you? Oh, well, you see, this is the second anniversary of Twilight coming to Ponyville, so I'm throwing a party for her. Here's your invitation. Pinkie pulled a small card from her basket hat. Fluttershy read it and smiled. It's tonight? Yeah, the anniversary is tomorrow, but unfortunately Twilight was invited to talk at the school for Gifted Unicorns the day after tomorrow and a whole week after that, as well as she has to leave early tomorrow so she can get ready to do whatever she's going to be talking about and all that stuff that Twilight really enjoys to do. A single breath was all Pinkie had taken to say that. Oh, well, I'll come if I can. I have some sick animals I'm caring for. It'll only be a few hours. You can spend that long away. And besides, you have Angel Bunny who can cover for you just this once. I don't know. Please, I can't have the party when she gets home because then it will be too late. She gave Fluttershy the puppy dog eyes. And that did it. Okay, I'll be there at 5. Great, she bounced happily. See you there, Fluttershy. And she bounced off like she almost always did. Fluttershy closed the door and smiled at the pair of tiny green eyes she could see under the sofa. She peeked back out the window to make sure Pinkie was indeed gone. It's safe to come out. She picked Whispering up and cuddled him, making him purr. Mommy is going to go spend some time with her friends tonight. Angel will keep an eye on you, alright? Whispering nuzzled his mother, purring away. Angel hopped up on Fluttershy's shoulder and received some snuggles of his own from the slightly larger kitten. Angel sighed, but didn't complain. Whispering was fun to play with. ... Fluttershy had left Angel in charge, and had made sure the animals knew it. She then gave her son and Angel hugs before leaving. Whispering hopped up to the sill and watched her leave. Once she was out of sight, he grinned and turned to look at Angel, whose back was to him. He licked his lips and silently hopped down to the floor and stalked toward the bunny. His green eyes flickered and turned red. Angel sensed something was wrong all of a sudden and turned. He squeaked and dodged as Whispering pounced, but it had been no playful pounce. Claws and teeth were shown, and the evil in his eyes. Angel scrambled, trying to get away. He had not felt any reason to fear Whispering until now. He had grown comfortable with the presence of a cat in the cottage. Now he remembered why he didn't like cats. They liked to kill and eat small furry creatures, such as himself. Even though Whispering only half the size of a full-grown cat, he was larger than Angel. Quick and agile as well, but Angel knew his home like the back of his paw. He evaded the attacking cat claws and teeth, evading being pounced and pinned. He used walls and furniture to bounce off of to rapidly change direction. His evasion tactics seemed to be working. If he could manage to reach the small hole in the wall and escape outside, he could hide and be safe. He reached the hall, but before he could squeeze through, he felt an impact from the side. Angel hit the floor and bounced to his balls. He looked around and spotted, much to his horror, Whispering was flapping his impossibly tiny wings and flying. Then the hunter dove, too fast for Angel to evade. They collided and tumbled into the kitchen. Angel fought back with his claws and teeth. He knew he had to do something, scratching at Whispering's eyes, drawing blood as he felt needle-sharp teeth bite into his shoulder. The monster cried in pain as his eyes were gouged open, blood pouring from them. Angel scrambled away, his front left paw hanging limp and dripping blood. He moved away, backing up and hoping the horrendously growling creature would not hear him. But something was wrong. Angel knew he had slashed in Whispering's eyes. Why was he opening his eyes? How were they whole? Whispering snarled angrily, the cuts on his face seeming to close up on their own. Angel felt the wall at his back. He was backed into a corner, and the creature, this monster he was facing, had bloody murder literally growing from those blood-red eyes. Whispering charged and pounced, his claws latching onto both sides of Angel's head, and claws ripping through fur, skin, and muscle, digging into bone. Angel screamed as Whispering's teeth wrapped around his throat and squeezed. He could feel the fangs pierce flesh, but not his windpipe. The pain was so much. But Angel was stronger than that. He kicked hard with his hind legs, sending the monster flying a yard away. Whispering didn't touch down the floor, staying airborne. He grinned cruelly, enjoying playing with his prey. Angel made a mad dash for the bathroom door, hoping he could get through and slam it shut before this killing machine could catch him. He had lost blood from the shoulder bite, as well as the neck bite, but not too much. The sides of his face screamed of pain as he focused on making the door. He didn't know how, but Angel made it through and kicked the door, slamming it shut. He heard the thud from Whispering colliding with the other side. Angel sighed. He was safe. Or was he? Angel heard the door latch being fiddled with. He jumped up and quickly slid the lock bolt into place. The handle refused to release and allow the door to open. He was safe now. There was no way to get inside. But better yet, there was an air vent in here that would allow Angel to escape. He climbed up to the counter and hopped to the shower curtain and scrambled up as high as he could go. He stretched a paw and gripped the grate that was the last thing blocking escape. He then heard loud scratching at the door. It was a horrible sound, like something was ripping through the thin wooden door. Angel didn't want to stay here and find out if Whispering could indeed tear through the door. He kept tugging at the grate. He glanced down and saw a small hole had been torn through the door, and he could see a bloody red eye glaring up at him. No time, must get through the vent. Angel struggled and kept tugging and pulling, getting a corner free. Finally, he peeled back enough for him to squeeze through. Angel struggled through the tight opening, squeezing between the fan blades. Below on the floor, Whispering Blackthorn had managed to rip a hole large enough to squeeze through, but had to fracture a wing in the process. He could not fly up there till the wing bone regenerated, but Angel was struggling to get through the fan and peeked down. His hunter had made it inside and was standing on the counter, a paw on the switch for the fan, a malevolent grin on his face. Angel screamed and struggled more, only halfway through the fan. Then he heard it. Click! Dot, dot, dot. Fluttershy arrived at the party, feeling oddly happy. She had a little spring in her graceful step, ignoring the little bandage she was currently wearing. As she was about to knock on the library door, she felt an odd shudder of sheer joy flood through her. She gasped for a moment, not knowing where that had come from. Was she really that happy to be here? Yes, that had to be it. She knocked and was pleased to see Rarity answer the door. Fluttershy, please come in. You're the last one to arrive. I'm glad I could make it. I'm not late, am I? You're right on time, like you always are. Rarity smiled as Fluttershy joined her friends. To be continued. That was beautiful. They actually killed Angel. So anyways, it was really much more better this chapter, where they started developing the monster that is Whispering, and they already killed off their first character in a very gruesome way. I just have that image in my mind, and I can't get it out. I'll probably be thinking about that for the next week or so. So, yeah. There were still a lot of grammar mistakes, but I can't really judge because I am not that good at not having grammar mistakes in my stories as well. So, I have to give this chapter a 9 out of 10. It was really great. I think it could be better. I can't really give advice, but I think there could be more done with the chapter. But really, really love this chapter. I can't really say anything about it other than the mistakes. Yeah, it's not cheesy, not corny. This invincible creature, Fluttershy, starting to feel weird. Yep. It was great. GG. GG, AnonnyMouse. Well, stick around for the next chapter, and I will see you later. Ciao!